it on?
Unmute the mics.
Welcome back, Finger Lakes area basketball fans. I'm Jim Sinacropi, and this is the Upstate Hoops podcast covering Section 5 basketball and Syracuse Orange basketball. This is episode 1 of season 2, and after 7 months off, we're back, coming at you live from the studios of FingerLakes1.com in Seneca Falls, New York. And once again this season, I'm joined by my esteemed co-host. He's the leading scorer in Minders Academy basketball history. He holds the all-time freshman record at William & Mary for three-pointers in a season, among many other Section 5 marks. It's my pleasure to welcome back Mr. Matt Verke.
Hey, Jim. How are we doing tonight?
Great. It's not like we haven't seen each other all summer, but we can finally talk some basketball
in the last
again.
2 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
I like the intro. You spent some time doing that. And
a lot of upgrades. We're all about improvement here on FingerLakes1.com. Also joining us tonight is a great friend of the show. I believe it's his third time in studio. He's the head coach of the defending Wayne County League champions, the Lyons, Coach Zac Young. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So we're going to have a great show tonight. Zach's going to help us preview the upcoming season in the Wayne County League and give us some insight into what Lions fans can expect to see in 2012 and 13. We're going to announce the scheduled live game webcast for the upcoming season on FingerLakes1.com Sports, where we have 11 games on tap from December to February, so stay with us to find out what games are on the slate. And we're also going to connect with our good friend and college hoops junkie Brad Connor to preview the Syracuse hoop season, talk about this weekend's Battle of the Midway in San Diego, and, of course, Brad will challenge us with some great trivia during our Connor's Corner segment. I'd also like to introduce our sponsors for the season and thank them for their support of local high school basketball and the Upstate Hoops podcast. Aday, Miris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys, are signing on for their second year as sponsors, and they also are sponsoring our live basketball webcast. And we're also proud to welcome Generations Bank on as a sponsor this season. These two great sponsors are not only making this podcast possible, but they're also making possible the 11 live game webcasts we have planned. And one more sponsorship is still available. If interested, please contact Angela at FingerLakes1.com or call FingerLakes1.com at 315-712-0104. So, a lot to talk about tonight. Big story of the week, Verk, is the Battle of the Midway was supposed to be tomorrow night, and they moved it to Sunday. So,
yeah, probably a good thing they moved it. Obviously, there's a chance of rain and the winds were going to be kind of high, I guess, on Friday.
Right.
Obviously, probably for any Syracuse fans who flew out there, probably caused them a few pains as far as travel arrangements and stuff like that. But hopefully, everybody can adjust and get to the game. I'm not even sure how many people are going to be at this game. I can't imagine there's going to be.
I think it's 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah, not many.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I remember watching the Michigan State game last year.
Yeah, and I have no interest in finding out how good a shooter James Sutherland is in 30-mile-per-hour winds. I'd rather see him, controlled conditions. But it is neat that they're going to play on the boat because they were planning on moving it inside a casino, and that's just a long way to travel to play inside a casino. But Boeheim would not let them play on their home court.
Right.
So
yeah, it definitely adds a playing outside on a ship adds a different element to the game entirely, and just shooting outside and being outside playing basketball is going to be different and fun to watch. I enjoyed that game last year. There's actually 2 other games that are also being played on ships. I think Georgetown and Florida are in like a different country.
In Germany. Georgetown's in Germany.
Yeah,
UConn's in Germany.
UConn is?
I have that information later.
Yeah.
We can
All
talk
right.
about that
Sorry
when
for
we get to
cutting in on
But let's get right into it. Usually first half of the show is where we talk about Section 5 basketball, specifically the Finger Lakes Leagues and the Wayne County League. And then we bring in Brad Connor for the second half to talk college hoops. So, Zach, welcome again. And, we got to take a close look at your team last year on route to that championship, and we followed you through sectionals until you were upset. But was it ER?
We lost to Cuba Rushford.
But then ER won.
We lost in the finals to Cuba Rushford, and then ER beat them in a qualifier.
Oh, correct, right. Okay. So we know that Derek Fair is gone.
Yes, he
at
is.
point guard. That's got to be tough. But you think Devin Veter's ready to take that role, or you have someone else who's going to play point?
I think Devin's going to hopefully step into the leadership role that Derek had for us. Damian Scott was probably the best player, in my opinion, in the JV league last year, and he was a point. And in a normal year, he probably would have been up. We did bring him up at the end of the year, and we brought him up for sectionals. So he's got first crack at the point guard. He got a concussion the other night at practice, so he's been a little slowed. He had a collision.
How many practices you got in? Just a couple, probably.
We have four in, yeah. Well, today we only practiced for an hour because our volleyball team was in the state qualifiers. So
that's right.
We let the kids get out at 4:45.
Did they win today?
Yes, they did.
Oh, congratulations
Yep.
to the Lyons varsity girls volleyball team.
Yep, play Saturday in the regional, so it's pretty cool for them. The girls basketball is a little bit behind though because all of them play volleyball. But
that's got to hurt.
Coach Kuhn will have to. He'll have to get them ready quicker.
Yeah.
So Veter probably be shooting guard, or
yeah, he can play both. He's one of those guys. He's been on varsity. It'll be his 4th year. He can run the point if we need him to. He's probably one of my best defenders as well. So ask him to bring the ball up, make the shots and defend is tough. So hopefully start him at the 2 and let him kind of do his thing. But if we need him in a pinch or somebody's in foul trouble, we can slide him over to the 1.
Damien a junior then this year?
Damien's a junior. Yeah. His brother, both his brothers were pretty good athletes in Lyons. His brother Isaiah is actually coaching modified for us this year, and he was the last time Lyons won a sectionals. He made one of the more famous shots in Section 5 finals history.
So Trey Johnson's back too, right?
Yes, he is.
And he's a senior this year?
He's a senior.
Has he grown any over the summer?
He's grown a little bit. His hair has got a little longer too. He likes to wear the hair nice and long.
Like Nerlens Noel style, or?
Yeah, not quite as cut as that.
That can add like 4 inches.
I think he's got a little stronger as well, just maturity-wise, and he's looking to post a little bit more for us that I've noticed so far throughout the year, in practice anyway.
All set? All right. Yeah, it's great. So you were mentioning earlier, you got 7 of your top 8 back, plus the Scott boys coming up. Obviously, you should have a pretty good team this year. Who do you look at as the favorite in Wayne County this year?
Going into the last couple of years, I don't know if you can call it a clear-cut favorite. A lot of people are talking. We have a lot of people back. Clyde is going to be very good. We had 2 great games with them last year. They had a transfer come in, Tom Canale from DeSales, after DeSales, the school closed. So he's only going to help them. I also think East Rochester is traditionally very strong. Coach Mark Michaels runs that matchup zone and gives teams a lot of problems. They lost a lot of seniors, but their program's been good traditionally, and they have a kid, Justin Reho, who's back for them, shooting guard, can kind of bring it up. So I think, I guess from what most people are kind of predicting, those would be maybe the top 3.
Right.
There's other schools I think that could compete on a given night. Last year we had some. If you looked at our standings, you had some crazy win. Williamson beat us on a given night. I think Gananda and Marion beat Clyde on a night. It wasn't a lot of clear cut. Just easy wins. So, hopefully, we can compete and get better and kind of peak at the right time of the year.
Sure. And then we were talking before the show started. Sodas is back in the league.
Sodas is back in the league. Yep.
And
Red Creek also is. We're almost back to a full slate.
What about Marion?
Marion is not.
They're not for sure. Okay.
Marion is not. Marion had a predicament where, they're a C school. They had some weird ratio of boys to girls, and their senior. They've kind of known all the way up that they were going to have a problem, but their senior and junior class only have I don't know if it's 30-something boys between them both. So that makes it hard, and they just didn't have a lot of kids interested in those 2 grade levels. So it's kind of tough for them. But they do have a JV team. They do have a modified team. Coach Malasani, who's an excellent coach, is actually he's coaching their modified team, and their JV coach is coaching, and we're still playing them. We still play them in the JVs.
So they're going to bring it back in probably next year or the year after?
Yeah, I think pretty much next year they're on track. They're on track.
What about the idea of merging with the Finger Lakes League? So there's just like a Finger Lakes West and East and maybe a Central, but instead of keeping Wayne County to itself? Because I've heard some things online, some rumors maybe that might be a possibility if schools can't field teams.
Yeah, I think we're on track next year in Wayne County to be full, and I wouldn't say that it's a every year thing that it's going to happen. I just think we had a couple years where it would. I think if you see the merging, it would be maybe a couple other schools would have to merge, and maybe travel wise. I mean, right. East Rochester is a far hike for us. We're kind of lucky.
How about Naples?
Yeah. We obviously we want to be in the same league as Naples,
right.
But maybe you could merge some of those schools like HAC, or if you switch leagues, maybe HAC and ER, which are very close to each other, but they're not in the same league.
Right. Gananda plays football with ER.
Yeah, Gananda and ER. I mean, we're in the same league right now, so it hasn't really been brought up at all, as far as what I know. But
they kind of do
between
it with,
the ADs,
with soccer and some stuff like that.
Yeah, some other sports we are merged because there's not, like, for football. There's not a Wayne County football league because there's only really, Clyde and Lyons, and we're D schools in football, and ER and Gananda have merged together, so they play more of the school sizes.
Mm-hmm.
So our school sizes haven't really spread out either. You saw some of those other schools move to Monroe because they just got so much bigger, like Canandaigua and Victor.
Right.
So I haven't heard anything of it. I don't anticipate it happening in basketball anytime soon.
Right. Excellent. What about as far as you lost to who last year in the sectional finals?
Cuba Rushford.
And
yeah.
they were mostly seniors, is that correct?
Yeah, they had almost, I think, 8 of their top 9 was seniors.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys are class double C this year?
We are there's 3 C classes. We're C2, I think they call it.
Okay.
Yeah, double C is what
C2 and Clyde C1.
Clyde is the lower
or C3.
I can't remember if it's C1 or C3.
Okay.
They're the lowest. They're the lowest one,
yep.
And ER and a couple of the other schools are up.
Ones.
Like Gananda's in the bigger one. Yeah. Yep.
Well, let's talk about some other teams in Wayne County this league, and let's start with one of your biggest rivals, Clyde. They were young last year. We were at a game that Clyde had possession with a chance to win.
Yeah,
final
absolutely.
Possession, and
we were very fortunate to win that game.
Yeah, and a packed house. It was a great night. But all those guys are back. DeSanto and Bogans, and then of course Clyde already picked up a key transfer from DeSales in Canale. So
yeah, I mean, but besides those 3, they also have other players that are pretty talented.
Sure.
They have last year they had, I think, at least 4 or 5 sophomores up. But the Malasani boy, who he had a good year as a quarterback. He's a veteran kid. He's been up to, so I think he came up halfway through his sophomore year. Patrick Harper, who got injured versus us. He's a good shooter. He's a steady player for him. Dalton Murray, they also have the very good receiver who he just got.
Fineo.
Fineo. I don't know how you say his last name. Joe, I know his.
He's the one. Did they bring him up last year against you guys?
Yeah, he got brought up. So he got some varsity experience and he played in sectionals. So
he had a great football year.
He's phenomenal at football. I mean, he's fun to watch. I went when we played him, and he's got some tough hands, and they're just tough.
Good coach too, Coach Jackson.
Coach Jackson
runs a tight ship.
He's tight ship. Always play hard. They like to get up in your face a little bit and pressure the ball, and they're looking forward for a good season. I think they're going to be set for probably Cam DeSanto and Bogans are both juniors, so they're going to be good this year and they're going to be good next year as well. As long as everything stays on track for them injury wise and grade wise, which you never know in high school. That's kind of one of the great equalizers sometimes.
Sure.
And what about East Rochester? They were contending last year for the Wayne County title, and they lose their leading scorer. I can't remember his
Nick Nadeau.
Yeah. He had a great year last year.
He's actually playing at Hilbert College.
No kidding.
Yeah. I talked to Coach Michaels at our league meeting. They lost a lot. Their JV team was pretty successful. They have Justin Rio back. He was kind of in their main rotation last year. But they also had a lot of kids up. They had a nice little run in the regionals to get to play the Buffalo school. I forgot. I don't know if it was OTC or I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was the same team that beat Miners a couple of years ago.
Yeah, New England, whatever, prep.
Yeah,
Northeast.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but Coach does a good job. He runs a matchup zone, and he runs it. If you could watch a clinic on it, he runs it well. They run a lot of different versions. It could confuse you, and they're very athletic. And I don't know if they've got a transfer or not. We're 4 days in, so you never know. They tend to get some transfers every once in a while.
And you beat them twice last year.
Yes, overtime at home, which again was a game we were fortunate. I think we were down 7 with a minute to go, so pretty fortunate. And then we beat them up there, but always good matchups. I don't think we've ever had a game that was, not really close in the last 3 years. So they'll be tough. For other teams, North Rose is very tall. Again, they have the best post player maybe in the league. His name is Christine. He's about 6'5", 6'6".
He's huge for the.
Which for our league is very big. He's just a very solid kid. He actually he dunked in warm-ups at our last game last year, and he almost broke the backboard. So
pregame intimidation.
Yeah. He's a good player. Ganonda's got some kids back. Ganonda had mostly juniors last year. They have Cameron Gray and I think it's Austin Aloi. So those guys are all. There's a lot. Last year I think the league was kind of young, whereas this year you have more seniors playing. So you never know.
You're going to start probably 4 seniors, right?
Yeah, 4, maybe 5. Depending on how
it all
shakes out. Yeah, which is nice. I haven't had that.
Right.
Maybe my first. No, I've never had that. Never had that. My first year, I was thinking about it, but no. Devin started, and he was a freshman. So.
Right.
So that's great. You got kids, they've been in the system and know how to win. They won a title last year, and so they know.
Yeah, we were in a lot of close games last year. I know we came up short in the finals, which was one of our goals, but we had a semifinal game versus Letchworth was great, and we had some really close battles with ER and Clyde, and a couple other games that came down to the wire. So hopefully that experience, and hopefully that that hunger of losing in the finals can help us get to our eventual goal. But we got a long ways to go till then.
Yeah, I think that helps. Thinking back to my high school career, I lost 2 sectional finals my sophomore and junior year, and obviously, senior year, it's your last shot, and you really had that urgency.
You remember what it felt like.
Yeah, you don't want to walk off that court your senior year.
I think also, looking back on that finals game, just nervousness. It's playing on that big stage. It's tough to replicate until you get there, and some of the kids' eyes were pretty wide. And not to say it was Cuba's first time there as well, but I think
was that your first game at the War Memorial?
Yeah, my first game too. Yeah.
What's that like as a coach? Is you obviously have to have some butterflies.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. You get up there, you only have the 15 minutes to warm up. Just your pregame routine is different. You have to make sure everybody is going to the right place, and get up there. There's a game before you. That's a sectional final. You're watching that. So.
And it's an arena too. It's not a gym.
Yeah.
So the whole aura is different.
I had a couple coaches. Coach Bizzato coached me in high school. We were talking a little bit after the game, and he said, I just wish we played a little better there. And he said, not many teams play well when they play there. He said, a lot of the sectional final games, because you really don't see maybe a great, well-played game all the time, because it's just you're not used to it. And, the shooting definitely played a part of it for both teams. Neither us or Cuba shot well, but it's an experience. And as my old superintendent said before he left, to Rick Admonson, who was a coach for several years, he said, sometimes you just got to get there a couple times to hopefully get those kids experience. And even your younger kids who we brought up, at least they got to see it. They got to shoot there. They got to be there. And hopefully you can just keep it going. Just got to keep giving yourself a shot.
Yeah, keep knocking on the door.
Yep.
What and you guys are playing in the Atwood gym this year, all your home games?
As of now, yes.
As of now, yes.
But that could possibly change to the community center?
We'll see. I don't. The volleyball team played their last home sectional game there, and there was a agreement to do that between the school and the center, mainly because of it's just tough for we have one gym for all of our teams, and when volleyball's still playing, and our modified kids started, and we needed tryouts, so that was kind of negotiated between both. So right now everything's in the Atwood. We only have 7 home games. But and then maybe a sectional game. Right. So I don't know. You never know. But for right now, yes, we're all in the Atwood for this year.
And we were talking earlier. You guys are making the trip up Route 31 this year to play Newark, which I don't remember the last time you guys played.
I've asked a lot of people at school, and people who've been going to games for a long time, and they were saying 50 years.
Yeah, really?
It's been a long time.
And that's awesome. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, you're 7-8 miles away. They're a lot significantly bigger school than us. They're about double our school size, but still, I mean, we play schools that are that big. And Bob Haverill is their coach, and I student taught at Newark, so I worked with him and Ron Saravolo. And we needed a game. We needed one more. I threw it out there to them. Sometimes the bigger schools, they don't want to play the smaller schools too, because if they lose,
points.
It hurts them that much more in sectionals.
Yeah. Same thing as in college basketball with loading up the preseason.
Yeah,
schedules.
correct. So I just told them, I said, hey, if you're looking for a game, I think it would be great for both communities. It's going to be a big draw. We'll come to Newark.
It might even be on the webcast schedule. Stay tuned.
We'll do it. We'll do it closer to. We were looking for a day, and we kind of went back and forth. And I said, let's kind of do it later in the year because it'll be. I like it because we're playing. I know Newark's a good program. We're going to play them on the bigger court, which if you want to go where you want to go in sectionals, you're going to have to win on the bigger court. And playing at the Atwood is definitely not the big style court. So I think it's hopefully it's a good competitive game, and both teams are doing well. And win or lose, I think that game's going to help us going forward.
And it's two traditional Section 5 powerhouses, really. I mean, if you look at the total wins and all that kind of stuff and winning percentage.
I think right now, I'm not positive, it was close for the most wins since, I think it's 75 to keep track of. I think that we're 1-2.
Yeah.
I think that we're 1-2.
Which is amazing, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
The two towns right next to each other, and they haven't played in 50 years, and they're 1-2. So
that's right.
It should be a great draw and and a great game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let's move ahead. I promised we were going to mention the webcast schedule, so I think now might be a good time to do it, and then we'll get Brad on the line. Section 5 basketball play doesn't start until early December, a few games in late November, so normally we will run down some scores and results and give you our Section 5 Player of the Week, which this year they're going to all get a FingerLakes1.com t-shirt.
Nice.
And we're also this year going to give our Finger Lakes basketball top 5. So we're going to give a little power rankings between these three leagues, the East, West, and Wayne County League.
Cool.
It doesn't mean anything, but it's fun to talk about.
Do power rankings ever mean anything?
Yeah, right. So in this instance, it really doesn't because everybody's in different classes, but it'll be something good to talk about. So we'll do that a little as we get a little closer to actually having games. And we also hope to get a guest from Finger Lakes West and a guest from the East to help us preview those leagues as well. But right now, I guess it's time to announce our 11-game slate. It's always tentative, but this is about as set in stone as we could get it at this point, and it's looking like this is going to be how it goes. We got great crew this year. Brendan Harrington, he's the voice of Canandaigua Sports on Finger Lakes Radio. And you may have caught him doing the Naples soccer game last week and Newark Pilots baseball for Finger Lakes 1. So he's going to be on the play-by-play call along with the mouth of the South, Dandy Dave Barnick, who also helped us out with some Newark Pilots. And he hasn't called high school basketball in 15, maybe 20 years. So I know he's excited. And so they're going to split games on the play-by-play end. And then, of course, we got Verk back on color commentary. He did the 3 games that we did last year, did a great job. And one of his former teammates, Kevin Korzaneski, is going to be trying his hand at some color commentary this year too. So we got a great team. We got Jeremy Hunt, who's producing tonight's podcast. He's going to be manning the main camera, and we are going to improve on what we did last year. So we definitely got a lot of positive feedback from what we did. It added a level of excitement. It was great for family and relatives and friends of these kids who maybe live out of the area to be able to watch them play. And I think it raised a little awareness as to the quality of basketball. And through this podcast and those webcasts, we hope more people pay attention because it's great competition.
Yeah, going into last year, not really knowing exactly how everything was going to turn out. And, I thought, you did a great job producing the games. And we got a lot of positive feedback, like you said. Just for relatives and friends and people to be able to watch the kids play who can't make it to the game in different states or just can't get to the game. They're able to watch it live, and I think a lot of the kids liked going back and watching it and getting the kids in the studio even. And
the 3 games total, Verk, I haven't checked actually in a couple months, but they continue to get viewed on YouTube. They're available. and through FingerLakes1.com and FingerLakes1.tv. But over 14,000 views as of August on the 3 games combined. So that's pretty good. And it was more of a test this year.
Right.
We're kind of planning it out. We're doing an extended schedule. We got new equipment too.
And yeah, and hopefully, last year was a new thing. Not a lot of people even knew about it, and we're hoping that other coaches in the league and stuff like that, and spread the word and get the word out to the communities that this is going to be posted. Obviously, they can see what games are going to be webcast and plan for it.
Yeah, I know we had cousins from Seattle, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina. I got a lot of great feedback from.
It's awesome to hear. It's because it's just really neat to think you can sit in Seattle and watch a Lions-Clyde game in Clyde on a Friday night. So without further ado, let's run through this schedule. We picked. This is still new to us, so we picked mostly gyms we were familiar with or thought would accommodate a webcast because there's a lot of things to consider, more so than a radio broadcast. We have cameras and we have more equipment in the internet connection and all that good stuff. So we're going to kick it off on December 4th at the same gym we did our last game at. It's going to be Palmac at Minders with Dave Barnick and Matt Verke on the call. Then just 3 days later on Friday night, we're going to head to Waterloo for the only girls game on the schedule, Newark at Waterloo, with Barnick and Korzaneski on the call. And we love doing that game because these are 2 of the best girls teams in the state.
Yeah, that was a great game last year. Came down, Waterloo had the last possession and a chance to tie it up, and obviously it didn't come through. But
everybody on that team's back, too.
Yeah,
the Waterloo girls.
Both teams are going to be strong again. The Lauer girls back for Newark.
Yep.
They lost
both of them, right? They're twins or no?
Yeah.
So they're both back.
There's
I
2 back.
know one of them injured their
really?
I think their knee or their ACL. But
Ooh,
I don't know how long she's out.
Okay.
But I know everyone from Waterloo is back for sure. Yeah.
And new coach on the bench for Newark, too. Their legendary coach retired after last year.
Diane Kearney retired this year?
Yep.
So, then after that, we head to back to Arthur L. Baker for Geneva at Minders on Tuesday the 11th. And most of these nights are Tuesday. We tried to make it a theme, Tuesday night basketball. Tuesdays and Fridays we got. Brendan Harrington, Matt Verke on the call for that one. Then on Tuesday, December 18th at 7 o'clock, we're going down to Romulus for Naples at South Seneca Romulus, where Naples grad Brendan Harrington will call the game with either Dave Barnick or Matt Verke. That's hasn't really been decided yet. Then we take a little break for the holidays, come back on January 8th at 7 o'clock for Geneva at Newark. Harrington and Verke on the call for that one, and Geneva is going to have an outstanding team this year.
Yeah, they got. I think they got 4 starters back. They got the Sweeney kid. I think he's been first team All-League a couple times. He's
just broke Billy Shar's career passing mark in Section 5. So.
Yep. Tremendous athlete. He's Fab 5 player. So yeah, Geneva's. I look for. We're not really talking about the Finger Lakes, but
right.
Geneva, Minders, Newark. I look for them to be at the top of that league again. Minders hasn't lost a league game in 3 years.
Yeah, I think Wayne's going to be in
Wayne. That's right.
Out of that group too.
Yep.
Wayne, we play. Usually we play a lot of those teams in the summer, and Wayne's pretty talented.
Yeah, they lost their big kid, but
Lamore?
his brother's playing there.
They still have the guard back. Yeah,
Lamore is the guard.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes, he's pretty tough.
And I remember their JV team watching them play last year was
That's
pretty
right,
good.
yeah.
I remember we were impressed at just how big they were, really.
Yeah.
Well, we did the Wayne Minders game, and Minders hasn't lost a league game in 3 years. And we thought watching warm-ups, we felt like this is the night, I think, that streak's going to end because Wayne looked really good. But Minders
they pulled it out.
Pulled away in the second half. So after that, we're heading to back to Minders for Newark at Minders. Might try a 3-man booth at that game. Barnick, Verke, and Korzaneski, just like Big Monday.
I don't know if 3 guys will work with Corzi because he likes to talk.
Well, that's why I'm setting it up because I think you guys might start arguing. It'll be great. Then on Friday the 18th, we stay at Minders for Wayne at Minders. Barnick and Verke on the call. Then on Tuesday the 29th, it's Geneva at Waterloo. Brendan Harrington and Kevin Korzaneski on the call. Saturday, February 2nd. It's 7 o'clock?
Yeah, 7 o'clock start.
7 o'clock p.m. Lyons at Newark, and this is the star of our schedule because, as you said, 50 years. I didn't even know that. I know you haven't played in a while.
I don't know if that's exactly true, but that's from.
We're going with it. They haven't played in 50 years.
I'll ask my dad. I'm sure he probably would know.
Yeah.
He's been involved.
It's been
in the
a
program
while.
For
It's been a long time.
45 years.
So and Harrington Verkey on that call. It's our only Saturday night game, but how can we miss that one? Plus, it's at the new gym in Newark, so we're excited about that one. And then on Tuesday, the 12th of February, it's Penn Yan at Waterloo. We wanted to get a Mustang game in, and they're coming to Waterloo, so perfect opportunity. Harrington and Korzaneski on the call there. And then Wednesday, the next night, we're ending the season with a doubleheader. Wednesday the 13th, another star of the schedule. It's Lyons at Clyde. Dave Barnick and Matt Verkey on the call, and that was so much fun last year when we showed up to set up our equipment, and it was packed before the JV game even started.
Yeah, it's the last game of the regular season this year, too. So
could have a lot of meaning, obviously.
Could,
so.
yep, for sure.
It should. It could be for the league title.
Yep. Hopefully.
Make that happen.
Hopefully it's not.
So there it is. And, we apologize to some of the schools that were maybe hoping to get on the schedule. But, again, we're still easing into this. I mean, I'm actually hoping, within a few years that we have double-header nights or, that basically we're like ESPN3 for local basketball. But to do it, we need sponsor support. We need equipment, which costs money, which is why we need the sponsor support. And we need, talent, whether it's behind the scenes or behind the mics. So we're kind of cultivating that this year, bringing Kevin back and getting Dave Barnick, back into the fold. Harold Weber called some games for us last year. He will still may appear as a sub, but he's got another job and he can't commit to anything. But I imagine he'll be in for at least once or twice. So
Sure.
So, with that being said, we're really moving along here. I think we're about half hour into the show, which means it's time to give Brad Connor a call. But before we do, Jeremy, let's hear from our great sponsors.
Attention Finger Lakes residents, have you been injured and deserve compensation? Call Midway, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys. Your case deserves personal attention. At Midway, Maris, and Ricky, they know you by name, not just a number on a folder. Call the Finger Lakes Personal Injury Hotline at 315-568-0911. That's 315-568-0911. Midway, Maris, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys.
The passage of time is a curious thing. There's a certain comfort in the knowledge that one generation gives way to the next, but that the important things remain constant. Seneca Falls Savings Bank has grown into Generations Bank, but the things that have always rooted us in our communities remain. For generations, we've greeted you by name, sat with you to plan for the future, and stood by you in times when you needed a hand. Rest assured, some things never change.
All right, we're back live at Finger Lakes One Studios. Jim's trying to get our good friend Brad Connor on the line. They're going to talk some Syracuse basketball and preview the upcoming game against San Diego State. You all set there, Jim?
Yeah, wait a minute a second.
All right. He's getting Brad on the line. In the meantime, getting ready to discuss the season. All set?
Brad, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you well.
All right, fantastic. Imagine that. The miracles of modern technology. Welcome back to the Upstate Hoops podcast, Brad. What do you think?
Thanks. Yeah, it's great to be back with you guys. On the one hand, it feels like it's been a long summer, but on the other hand, it feels like we just finished up. So it's nice to pick right back up where we left off.
The one, living up here in the Northeast, especially upstate New York, we hear a lot about the weather, but, the one thing that gets me through is basketball, and specifically Syracuse basketball. Really kind of consumes things over the next 4 or 5 months of my life, and wouldn't have it any other way. So Zach's hanging out with us. He's sitting around. We're going to talk a little bit Syracuse basketball now, touch a little bit of NCAA basketball in whole. And, we're excited about the upcoming season, which kicks off 2 days later than we thought for the Orange. We were supposed to be Friday night. The game was moved because of weather, which you don't hear that often for a college basketball game, but they're playing it on an aircraft carrier. So, what are your thoughts on that game, Brad? That is a tough game to go across the country and have to play a team from San Diego State with 4 returning starters from, I think it was a Sweet 16 team, right?
Yeah, I mean they're a ranked team. They're playing 3 time zones away. It's a veteran team, a well-coached team, on a ship. I mean, who knows what you're going to get on that type of environment? And the guys could come out loose, or they could come out, looking around, and this is a different environment for everybody. So you don't even know what you're going to get. And the weather elements. You mentioned it earlier, how you didn't want to see Sutherland shooting in 30-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, that's that you don't know what you're going to get, and that's part of the fun of it, I think. But it's a bit nerve-wracking probably if you're really trying to use this as a marquee win as an out-of-conference game for the tournament seeding. Well,
that's the thing. It's the first game of the year, but if you lose this game, you're on the outside looking in for a number 1 seed right off the bat. I mean, literally starting at 10-11 in the country right now. But you win that game, and all of a sudden, you don't have too many more blips on the radar on their pre-conference schedule. They got to go at Arkansas, and Wagner's like a little bit of a tough home game. But I think it's as big as an opening game as you can get, and the fact that it is played on an aircraft carrier, just kind of you don't know what to expect. You ever play on an aircraft carrier, Verk?
No, I haven't. It's, like you said, it's a game for Syracuse where. They're not going to see a whole lot of ranked teams early on in their schedule. So this is really their opportunity to get a big win, to get a resume builder if things go, as we see things going for Syracuse, and say, hey, we beat San Diego State, and it's definitely a huge game.
Well, maybe we should preview the actual season and the team right now. You'll never see many teams that lose as much as Syracuse loses and maintain a top ranking like they have in the polls, but you're talking about losing Chris Joseph, who's now playing for the Celtics, Fab Melo on the Celtics, Dion Waiters, who's lighting it up for the Cavs. He's
28, I think, the other night, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he followed that with 27. Him and Kyrie Irving. So Dion Waiters doesn't start a game in 2 years at Syracuse, and he starts his first NBA game. And and he's doing well, so good for Dion. They also lose their 5-year guy and starting point guard and Scoop. And
what about Mookie?
Mookie Jones too is
big
gone.
loss.
So and the sick thing is Mookie could have seen a little bit of time this year because they're
definitely
a little thin at guard.
And looking at looking at these guys who got listed there who they lost. Obviously, in my mind, losing Dion's the big one. He was the guy who he took over a lot of games. He was their go-to guy down the stretch. Where we gave a lot of grief to Chris Joseph last year. I thought kind of disappearing at times, but Dion seemed like he wanted to take the big shot. He hit a lot of big shots. And Scoop was great, and Scoop was Scoop at times.
Scoop surprised me early on. Verk, last year we talked about Scoop and about how for last season's outlook, we didn't have too much confidence in Scoop.
He had some great games, though. He had a good senior year, no doubt about
absolutely.
it. But Fab, he's a good defensive player and stuff like that. But I think the guys they got at center can do what Fab did last year. I think they can actually maybe score a little bit more. Coleman looks like he's pretty talented in the middle there. But I think Chris Joseph. I look for Sutherland to replace him. His scoring. At the forward spots, they're fine with Fair and Sutherland there.
A lot of size, boy.
So you lose a Scoop, you lose Dion. I think Dion's the big loss there because we got Michael Carter-Williams at the point, who potentially is going to be a much better player than Scoop was.
Stud.
If you look at what he can do, he's 6'6", he shoots the ball better than Scoop. But it's his first time getting a lot of minutes. So he, Scoop brought a lot of intangibles, I guess you could call him, to the game. Where, Michael Carter-Williams is going to be his first year in there. He's super talented, but he's not tested yet. So we expect big things from him, but you never know.
Yeah, what do you think?
Carter-Williams has a significantly higher ceiling, which I think is what has us all excited.
Sure.
He can be so much better, but you question whether he's ready to step into that leadership role that Scoop brought. There's good Scoop and bad Scoop, but the one thing he always brought was the leadership, and that's the piece that you wonder about this team. Can Brandon Trish fill that role?
Well, I want to hear everybody's, Zach and Matt and Brad. I want to hear your keys for the season because, if everything turns out golden, I think Syracuse can win a national championship this year. But I think certain things have to happen. So I'll start with one of my keys.
Has there ever been a year you didn't think Syracuse was going to win the national championship?
Well, you know what?
He's the optimist.
Yeah, there was. To the Deshaun Williams era, I never was too confident. But
you didn't think Terrence Roberts was going to bring it home that year?
Well, we had GMAC on those teams, so there was a chance. But, yeah, Watkins and Roberts those years, number 33. But, and of course, I think that we had the best team in the country the last 2 years. But you know what? We lose Onuaku in the Big East tournament, and then we lose Fat Mello before the NCAA tournament. I mean,
no, you're right.
Devastating.
Onuaku's year, I think.
Yeah,
they were the best team.
What a great team that was, led by Andy Routins. And honestly,
that was Wes Johnson's team, his junior year before he left, right?
Yeah.
Was on that team?
Yep.
Yeah. That was a great team. And last year's team was 17-1 in the Big East, which
Big East champs.
You never see that. So, yeah, they're maybe the most, two talented teams, and if things played out differently, who knows?
Your center. And say what you want about Fab, when he was on the court in the center of that zone, they were one of the best. They were the best defensive team in the country. I'm going to say it. So
I remember Anthony Davis, pretty good defensive player too.
No. So let me start out with my big key for the season. I think that you can't ask Brandon Trish to be the leader of this team, and you can't make Brandon Trish be the vocal leader. You can't make Brandon Trish take the big shots. Brandon Trish is a great player. He's going to score 28 points 3 or 4 times this year, and he's going to have some off games, but the leader of this team is going to be Michael Carter-Williams, and I'm already worried about it because everybody's framing this season as Brandon Trish is senior. He's finally going to lead. You don't have to be a leader to be a great player.
He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And I think he's incredibly talented. I would love to see him play to his potential, consistently. But it seems like that he doesn't want to be the leader. You'll interview him. He'll say, "Yeah, I'm ready to lead. I'm a senior." But I don't think he needs that added pressure. I think he just needs to go out and play. I really believe that Michael Carter-Williams is going to be the leader of this team.
But I think what you need from Brandon Trish isn't necessarily to be a vocal leader, but to lead by example, which he generally does. But a lot of times what you'll see is if things aren't going his way, he'll put his head down, he'll kind of mope a little bit, and you'd hate for that to rub off on the younger guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. And what I'd like to see is, with your senior leader, Boeheim usually gives the seniors a long leash, and but if Brandon is hanging his head and not having a good day, let's get him out and let's put Cooney, let's put Sutherland up at guard. I don't want to see Syracuse fans force Brandon Trish into taking that leadership role. Some games he might step up and be that leader, but just let the kid play. I don't think he needs any added pressure. Like I said, Michael Carter-Williams. How about you, Zach? What do you think for a key to this season for Syracuse?
I don't really know. I know a lot of people said last year go-to player. I always thought it was Waiters.
Right.
Right now, game you're down 2 or it's a tie game. I don't know who they're going to go to. So they have a lot of options, but it's nice to have that guy maybe step up and hit a big shot maybe in one of the non-league games to give them confidence. I think that's important, and I think Coleman, to me, and they're young guys. I mean, Coleman is pretty hyped up. I've seen him play live once or twice. He's very good. He looks good in the preseason game. I mean, he's so big.
Soft hands.
He's got soft hands. He can make free throws. I mean, his free throw form looked excellent. And he got recruited by Kentucky. Kentucky wanted him.
Sure.
So he's got a pretty good track record too. So that to me is big for them. And I also think sometimes maybe setting kind of a rotation where guys know their role. I think sometimes they're so deep. I know sometimes Boeheim's best jobs have been when they've had 6 or 7 guys.
Sure.
What they know what their roles are, it's defined, and when you're kind of yo-yoing people.
He says he's going to play 9 this year, which I don't believe him.
He'll play 9 till about probably January.
Yeah, till the Rutgers game on January 2nd.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It is difficult to find your role. Boeheim teams traditionally he'll play 6, 7 guys max, even though he's got good players, on the bench. So, but I do think he's going to go a little deeper this year.
And I think playing the zone, you're not necessarily using as much energy defensively, so he doesn't have to be as deep sometimes.
Yeah.
Because the zone, obviously, you're not chasing guys around as much as you are in the man and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he
can get by with it. And, last year they were loaded, and it worked out pretty good. He was playing, 7, 8 guys a game last year. So we'll see.
Only 3 true guards, on the roster, I think is going to force him to go a little deeper. And we'll go 3. He usually only went a 3-guard rotation last year, too. But, you got Carter Williams, Trish, and then Cooney, who we haven't even seen yet. So just imagine if Cooney isn't as advertised and he doesn't play 15 minutes a game. Let's say that he's a guy that, spot duty. Then what are you going to do? Bring Sutherland up to play guard? I even heard them talk about bringing C.J. Fair. Sutherland's good to come at guard once in a while for mismatches, and, he's a streaky shooter. 8 of 9 so far in the preseason. But yeah, so I think that'll force him to go a little deeper. But a guy like Jeremy Grant, who looks fantastic, I don't know if he's going to be playing a lot, come January and February. He would be that 9th guy.
Yeah, and, we looking at his starting lineup, he started Christmas in the center spot, and DeJuan Coleman, or if it's Daywan, as the guys were calling him on the Sports Channel in New York the other night. I'm not sure which one it is, but and Fair, and then up top was Carter Williams and Trish. And we'll see if, last year he started Fab and Christmas together most of the year, and, Christmas would play about 37 seconds, and the first time the buzzer rang, Dion or another smaller forward would come in, which I personally like. I don't like having 2 big guys playing at the same time. Coleman seems like he might be able to play the wing spot in the zone.
So you're saying you don't like Christmas Coleman or Keita Coleman?
Or Keita Christmas or anything like that. I like one big guy, and I want Sutherland and Fair at the forwards. Obviously I think he's going to start the 2 big guys again, but he did it the year even when he's done it with Fab.
Is Coleman going to come out at 30 seconds into the game like Christmas did last year?
No, I think Christmas might be coming out.
Yeah, well, Keita's looked great.
And poor Keita, you feel bad for him because he's going to sit a little bit behind these guys. And, when he played when Onuaku was hurt, and as a freshman he came in and played really good. He played good spotting up for Fab last year.
Oh, you know who played too that I don't say we miss him, but Deshaunte Riley, remember?
Yeah, a few years ago. But the I don't know. I think if anybody can play the wing spot in the zone, it's going to be Coleman. And he brings a lot more. He seems like he's a better passer. He can hit the 15-footer. But Keita and Christmas together, you kind of got 2 guys who can't really score.
I don't think you'll see that. I don't think you'll see
offensively. Defensively, you might be able to get away with it, but offensively, it's going to.
And I don't
tough.
know, how much better. Obviously Christmas is a great shot blocker, good rebounder. But so is Sutherland. Sutherland can rebound, but he's going to stretch the defense. He just brings so much more. He can do so many more things. He can handle the ball. He can do this. I just think offensively they're that much better. I think even defensively they're better because he can. I noticed in the game the other night, even against Belmont or who are they playing?
Pace and Bloomberg.
Yeah, Bloomberg. The guy would shot fake, and the big guy would jump up in the air, and then the guy would take a dribble and go by him. I just like having the wings a little bit smaller and quicker, able to cover more space and stuff like that. So, and Boeheim has done that in the past. He's played mostly with, smaller forwards, shooting forwards at the 4 spot. And, I really like Sutherland at the 4 as a stretch 4. And there's a guy who can play the 2, 3, or 4. And Fair's kind of, they say he's improved his range again.
He's
so
a 3-4.
We'll see where he ends up. I mean, Fair played the zone in the center last year a few times when when they got people down. So
no matter what Boeheim chooses, they're going to be big. So even if he doesn't go with the 2 bigs at once,
they're huge.
They're still going to be big.
They're 6'6", 6'4", up top in the zone with Carter Williams and Trish, and you talked about Brandon, and we talked about it last year. His biggest problem is his head, I think. He's got all the capability in the world. He just needs to go out and play.
Right. That's why I don't want to put any more pressure on him. I'm scared of everybody saying
really,
this is his year to be the leader. It scares me.
And I don't see anybody else besides Carter Williams or Trish ever playing the point this year. I don't think Cooney's quite ready for that yet.
Trish would prefer to play the point if you asked him.
He's going to, Cooney, from what we saw in the brief appearance he made, he's a spot shooter this year, and they say he can do more. They really got high hopes for him. We'll see where that goes, but until he shows me a little something, I'm not ready to anoint him the next Jerry McNamara or Andy Routins or whatever.
Right. So Brad, how about you? What's your keys for the Cuse this year?
To me, the biggest thing that I find, I don't call it a concern, but call it just something I need to see, is the interior defense in the block. And Berg touched on it a little bit, but I really see the zone is hard to play, especially if you're new. I mean, if you're a freshman and someone that's new to consistently playing a Boeheim style zone, it's a hard thing to pick up. And a guy like Coleman, he's new to it, and even Christmas. See, the thing is, and I saw this last year, and I saw this in the 2 preseason games. Christmas loves to block shots. He is motivated by blocking a shot, and it gets him out of position a lot. And then you've got mismatches inside. If he's going to block a shot, he gets pump faked, and then you've got a 2-on-1 on the block. And so it's something that I think Fab, we took for granted last year. He was such a good interior post defender on the zone that they're going to really miss that. And I think offensively,
he was disciplined, more disciplined than people gave Fab credit for.
Than they were last year. I think it's just and at the top of that zone, they're so long and so quick. And Carter Williams at 6'5" and Trish at 6'4", they're never going to have any problems. They're going to get so many steals that I don't think we have to worry about that. It's just what happens inside. And you've got some big guys in the Big East that know how to attack that zone. They've been working on it 2, 3, 4 years. Are there going to be holes in that zone? I'm a little bit fearful of that.
Yeah, if I had to pick a second key, I got lots of keys, but my second key would be, how is Christmas going to handle the middle of the zone, or in his stead, Keita, because center position is the most important position in the zone. It all breaks down if you like to say they get out of position. If they jump at a pump fake at the foul line, it's over. So
I thought he had a couple games last year. We did all right in the middle, though. When he got in there, I think he's got some experience. Just
Christmas is good.
Yeah.
He's a McDonald's All-American, and he's athletic as heck. He seems, he made a couple jump hooks. I mean, the guys guarding were 6'5" the other night, but he's skilled. If he can put it all together, he could be great. I just don't know how it's all going to work out with him and Coleman and Keita in there. And I like all three of them. I think they're all very good players. I just don't like them playing together because, they try to go high-low, and it's like they're forcing it down there, and it just doesn't seem to flow right offensively with the two bigger guys in there. And Coleman, offensively, is by far the most talented of the three. He can, he's got moves in the post. He can, he's got a nice touch. He hits foul shots. And he's a horse. He's a big guy. He finishes with contact.
And the thing with Christmas, too, is he's not going to be scared about making one mistake and sitting on the bench the rest of the game like Boeheim did to him last year. That's kind of what he does. Now, I think he knows he's going to be playing 20 minutes minimum a game and, probably more. And so I think he'll be more relaxed, and I think that will improve his offensive game and his rebounding numbers, obviously, playing more minutes.
Yeah, we saw that last year when Fab went out the first time, and then they played that game in Cincinnati, and everybody wondered how they were going to be without Fab, and that was one of Christmas' best game because he knew they needed him, and he knew he wasn't going to get yanked 2 minutes in.
Yeah, it's funny. I love Boeheim, but man, sometimes you just see him repeating things, like the way he handles his players. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because Waiters is a perfect example. Waiters was suspended and didn't see much time at all, and you're like, what's going on with this guy? Thought he might leave the team at one point. Him and Boeheim are getting into fights. Boeheim will not back down for anybody. If Michael Jordan played at Syracuse and didn't do what Boeheim wanted him to do, Michael Jordan wouldn't have got the minutes. So it's funny, and we as fans just wanted to see him let Waiters loose because you could tell he was a special player.
Yeah, and he remember Fab's freshman year, he would basically do the jump and come out, and then basically did the same thing with Christmas. Maybe it's a good luck thing or something because they've had great teams the last 2 years.
Coach knows what he's doing.
He's also had the luxury of, if Deion's not playing hard, get him out and get somebody else in there. He's had such deep teams. He doesn't really have to put up with guys not doing what he wants to do.
He breaks them. He breaks them in their first couple of years.
He does. And, just like with Carter Williams last year, he'd get in there, he'd turn it over, they'd yank him out. Or
and him and Boeheim had words last year.
And between
too.
the three of them, last year with Scoop, Deion, and Trish, if any one of them screwed up, I was like, all right, you're in. Give it a try.
Fine.
It's a nice, he's able to do that. But
those aren't bad problems to have
that's
as
right.
a coach.
That's right. Which brings me to the next point. Syracuse signed 4 new players in the last month. I should have wrote down their names. We got Patterson, shooting guard from Indiana, who was a top 30 recruit. We just signed a couple days ago a kid from the Bronx. I think he's actually playing at New Hampshire or something at prep school. But the number 7.
That's a 2014 recruit is what he was.
Yeah, he's
Chris McCullough he's 2 years out. McCullough.
Yeah, he's coming in 2 years from now, but he's signed. And then next year, who we got?
Tyler Ennis is the point guard coming in.
One of the best point guards in the country. And then the other recruit we got next year is
the kid from Bishop Kearney.
Yeah, Chinoso Aboku.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. But we followed him last year. He was getting 12, 13 blocks a game.
Kearney, and just for Section 5, they got the sophomore. Who's the sophomore that's really good for them too? He's a
they have a really big front line.
He might be a better recruit than this Oboko kid.
Yeah.
And they have another kid from Nigeria, I guess, who's like 6'10" also. Yeah. So, they got a Division I front line, obviously. And
well, I think it's interesting because I think this is kind of a golden age for Syracuse basketball, and to the point where we don't have bad recruiting years.
They're recruiting. They've never recruited better in the last 5 years. They were never getting this many McDonald's All-Americans or top 20 recruits. And I'm not sure, we talked about the Carmelo Anthony Center playing into that possibly. It seems like since they built that, they've been, getting the recruits. Boeheim keeps working his magic, and obviously his staff, Mike Hopkins and those guys, have been tremendous.
Mike Hopkins, I've seen him speak a couple times. He's just – I don't know how you wouldn't want to go. Like, he just can sell – it sounds like he can sell any high school kid.
He's doing a good job.
He's awesome. He does a lot of the – I'm not going to say the dirty work, but he goes do a lot of the clinics around Syracuse, and I'm sure he's flying all over. And why would you want to retire when you're getting all those, Jim's work?
Poor Mike Hopkins.
Yeah, hey, I don't feel bad for him. He's very well compensated, but at some point he will get his chance. But he's definitely on the move, that guy.
But I think that's one of the things you mentioned Hopkins is that I look at some other programs like maybe Arizona under Lute Olson or Purdue under Gene Cady, where when those coaches got a little older, a lot of recruits started thinking, I don't know if I want to go here because I don't know who my coach is going to be 2 or 3 years from now. But what Syracuse has done is they know it's going to be 1 or 2 people. So I think they feel a little more comfortable, coming on with an older coach. So
plus, how many assistants do you have that are that? Usually, you have an assistant that's high up, and they're looking to go elsewhere. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else. Obviously, he's had a couple opportunities. Yeah. I know he thought back a couple years ago. I think Bonaventure wanted him pretty bad.
Yeah, and
not VCU, but Charlotte.
Yeah,
was UNC Charlotte. I think offered him a job and.
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure he's being compensated like a head coach at a mid-major, probably, or close to it. In Syracuse, they got all Syracuse graduates on the staff, which is great. Lazar Sims has left and gone down to Binghamton. But now they got Autry and McNamara. So I'm sure, Jerry McNamara walks in your house, most people are going to know who he is, and I'm sure that they see whatever they're doing, it's working because they're getting some, great recruits in.
Well, look, guys, we could probably, talk about this for 3-4 more hours, but I don't want to delay one of my favorite segments of the show any longer. It's Connor's Corner, which is a little trivia segment. Each episode, Brad has fantastic trivia questions. I'm sure he's been thinking all summer about what question he was going to debut during the season premiere. So what do you have for us, Brad?
They had this question about an hour after they walked off the court against Ohio State. No, I did some research today and was surprised at what I found with this, but wanted to see if you guys, with the opening game coming up on Sunday, if you remember the last time that Syracuse lost their opening game of the season.
I remember. Anybody else? I know this one, so you guys can, if you guys want to jump in. I think I know this one.
It's a home game, wasn't it?
It was. It was a home game.
I remember not.
It was
being
a
happy.
high-scoring game too, wasn't it, Brad?
Yes, it was.
And it was also back. I would say that you had to go back to. Oh, I'd say you got to go back 6 or 7 years, 2004 maybe. But I remember I had to watch the game online. It wasn't on TV.
You're not talking about the Lemoyne loss, right, Brad?
No.
No, that one didn't count. I forgot about that one, though. That's a good call, but no.
All right.
I was thinking of.
I don't. I want to say they had like maroon uniforms, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
How about you, Jeremy, over there, producer Hunt Dog? What you got? You got a guess? No, Zach, any idea?
No. I can remember being upset, but I don't remember.
I'm gonna go with UNC Charlotte, and it was a high-scoring game in the Dome. It was a McNamara team. I think it was the year after they won the title.
Jim, correct on all counts. Very nice.
There you go. Verk usually kicks my butt last year.
All right,
but
let
I'm
me-
up 1-0.
Didn't they have the good shooter?
Yeah, he
always
made
kid-
like 9 threes.
So,
He always
so with that one, Syracuse lost 96-92 to UNC Charlotte. They were ranked 7th, coming off national championship, defending champions. And
We had
Brendan,
these great new recruits, Watkins and Roberts, that were going to lead us into this golden age and off the heels of that championship.
all right, so I dug into that game itself because it brought back some bitter memories. But Brendan Plavich,
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Best player ever.
1 point, 10 3-pointers is still a Carry Dome record to this day.
Not even Matt Rowe could make 10 threes.
Sure, they were up 50-29 at halftime.
Charlotte was?
Charlotte was up 50-29 at halftime.
It came back a little bit.
So he was Plavich hit 7 3-pointers in the first half. He was unconscious. UNC Charlotte came into that game. They lost their opening game to George Washington. So they were 0-1 coming into the Dome against the national champions and beat them.
7th ranked.
McNamara had 34 points. Warwick had 20. Pace had 15. Edelin had a double-double, 13 and 10. But as a harbinger of things to come, because I like that word, the triumvirate of Terrence Roberts, Darrell Watkins, and Demetrius Nichols in their first game inside the Carrier Dome combined for 18 minutes, 0 for 5 from the field, 0 points.
Good team, though.
That is a good team.
Warwick was still on that team.
Yeah. I mean, it was the entire national championship team with the exception
That was-
of Carmelo Anthony and Dwayne.
It was a Sweet 16 team.
Oh, yeah, Fourth was
They
still
lost
there.
in 16, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was after that things got tough where they missed the tournament 2 times in a row.
I lost to Vermont the 1 year, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah, that was Warwick's senior year.
That was a bad loss.
And then the next year was when McNamara ran them through the Big East tournament with those.
Also Texas A&M.
Yeah, and they
Yep.
lost to Texas A&M in the first round.
And then after that, I believe it was 2 years no tournament.
Yeah.
Terrible nightmare.
Roberts, Watkins, Nichols senior year, they missed out, and then the year after they missed out.
Good thing we weren't doing upstate hoops then. It really would have sucked.
Yeah, we would have folded up. We would have done that NIT
As a
pregame
follow-on to
special.
that, in the Boeheim era, how many times do you think they've lost their opening game of the season?
That's
So
going
how
back
many
to
years has he coached?
77
30-something?
So this is his
77.
37th year. So in 36 opening games, how many do you think he's lost?
Trying to think of some difficult first round games. They
I-
beat North Carolina once in the
I
Springfield
clearly remember the majority
Classic.
of these. You will too.
I'm gonna just guess that number is 3.
I'm going to say 6.
Zach, you have a number in mind?
We'll go in the middle. We'll say
roulette.
4.
How we looking, Brad? What's the answer?
Zach's got the good guess.
4?
Four is the number. Do you guys remember any of those other games? So Charlotte's won, obviously.
Yeah, I really am drawing a blank.
Well, Jim, you should remember one clearly.
I remember we beat Indiana the year after they beat us in the tournament in Madison Square Garden. Sherm passed it through his legs
Didn't
like a football.
Carmelo lose his first game?
Memphis, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's Memphis.
Good call, Zach.
Yeah.
Good call.
That's a great call. They lost to Memphis the first game of the season in the Dome. No, it wasn't at the Dome. It was at Madison Square Garden. It was the Coaches versus Cancer tournament.
Yep.
And,
Jeremy
they
Hunt
lost
was on that team.
73 to Memphis. in that year. They only lost 5 games, and one of them was that first game of the season. Carmelo had, I think, 31 or something in the opening game.
Yeah, that was one. And then the other ones, you probably got to go back a little ways, or?
Well, one that I clearly remember, Jim, I'm surprised you don't, 1988, coming off there. Well, so you had the year coming off of the Indiana game, but no, they didn't play Indiana. They played UNC in Springfield, Mass. in the Hall of Fame tip-off.
They won that game.
And Syracuse went into the season ranked number 1 and lost in overtime to North Carolina.
Oh, geez, I was thinking about that game. I thought I remember them winning that game, but that was J.R. Reed against Derek Coleman, right?
For them beating UNC in the Final 8 the year prior in the tournament.
Yeah, I guess that's why I got. That's actually the opposite. You're right. I remember that now. They beat UNC to go to the Final Four, then they lose to them in the opener, and then, they had lost to Indiana in the national title game, and then beat Indiana the next year, Madison Square Garden, in the lesser game that nobody remembers.
Except for you.
People tend to remember the national championship game a lot better than the games played in December, so that's 3 losses.
And
There's one more.
And the fourth one, this is kind of random, and I don't remember it, but it's crazy when I looked it up. In 1995, so this was
Deshaun Williams, Preston
John Wallace.
Shumpert.
John Wallace was
Wallace.
Jr.
Also, the year
played
before they went to
George
the finals.
Washington in the preseason.
I remember that
Manly.
now. Yep, I remember that now. It was the big thing they were going to play at Manly, and they lost the game. I never wanted them to play at Manly again.
I don't remember. I don't remember them playing that game at Manly. That was crazy.
No, I do remember that.
Why did they play there? Was the dome under reconstruction, or they just played the game to hype it up?
I think that. Why was it? Was there a renovation?
So there, weren't you, Jim?
We're in Virginia, Brad. You and I probably, right? Or were you at Wake?
Yeah, right. So I probably didn't even.
I was a student
watch it,
in '95.
Yeah, were you there, or were you around?
Yes, I was. I'm trying to remember why I didn't go to that game, because I didn't go to that game.
Really?
I don't know. I'm getting old. That was a long time ago.
That was kind of crazy. The irony was that season started with an overtime loss and it ended with an overtime loss against Arkansas in the NCAAs.
Oh, that was
they got screwed that game.
Lawrence Moten.
When Luke Jackson called the timeout regulation they didn't have.
But not only that, there was a few things leading up in that game.
That was a good team.
They were good.
Wallace and Moten and Todd Bergen.
Luke Jackson, like you said.
That was Moten's senior year, wasn't it?
Moten's senior year,
Yep.
Who was the point guard?
He's
was it Michael Lloyd? Was Michael Lloyd on that team? Or was it Autry? No, it was Autry. Red Autry, point guard.
No, because Red Autry was our year, so he would have graduated in '94.
I think it was Michael Lloyd. He was in there somewhere. Michael Lloyd's like my age.
Sims was '96. I don't think he played a whole lot up until he was a senior, though.
Yeah, Sims only played his senior year.
So I think it was Michael Lloyd.
John Brady used to say, well, nobody knows who John Brady is except for me, Verk, and maybe. But John Brady used to say that he couldn't believe Lazarus Sims was starting at Syracuse when Verk was available. He thought that Boeheim should have had Verk if he was going to have Sims starting at point guard.
Yeah, well, it worked out pretty good for Syracuse.
For Sims that one year. Yeah. But maybe they would have beat Kentucky, Verk, if you were running the point.
Yeah.
So, great trivia, Brad, as usual.
32-4, Boeheim's record on opening night.
Not bad.
Only one time has he played a ranked team on opening night, and that was that game against Carolina. They lost in '88. Only one time.
It's about to change.
Garbage games, really.
So they said, "Screw it! I'm never playing or opening up with a ranked team again."
Right. Unless it's on a boat in San Diego.
That's what it took.
Well, so they got that game. It's a 4:00 game on Sunday, which is Friday night's a big night for college basketball. The spotlight was going to kind of be on all these games, and now we're going against NFL football on Fox Sports Net.
Yeah, what channel is it on Time Warner? Is it on MSG?
I've heard MSG. I've heard Fox Sports New York.
MSG Plus or something, maybe. I'm not even sure.
Yeah,
but it's on Fox Sports.
I thought it was on. I know Fox Sports San Diego.
They're the one that's broadcast, but I think MSG might be picking it up. That would be my best guess.
I'm sure we'll get it, obviously. So
I should hope so. I should hope so. It'll ruin my afternoon if we don't. But yeah, you're right. It was in the newspaper. It's going to be on MSG, but I assumed it would also be on Fox. But probably if it is on MSG, they won't have it on 2 channels.
Yeah.
I don't know how these things work, but the game will be on a boat.
It's a big game. I'm looking forward to it, and
good test early,
no doubt,
and a good test for Michael Carter Williams and
2 national championship coaches.
Yeah, Steve Fisher won a national title. Michigan, 80.
It'd be nice for Syracuse to get an early season win outside of the state of New York.
To shut up
Yeah,
Gottlieb and
about it.
Vitale. And
Yeah, they'll still say neutral site.
That's right.
Even though it's on the in
Such
California.
garbage. They absolutely will. You're absolutely right. But
they'll probably call it a home game. Syracuse draws well nationally, so
Gottlieb's not on ESPN anymore, so no.
That's right, but he is on CBS, so we'll be
Yeah.
hearing from Gottlieb.
Yeah.
He's not a huge, ever has been a huge Syracuse fan, but I gotta admit, I don't mind Gottlieb as much as I used to. He brings pretty good insight.
I love when the on the Dan Patrick show when they always talk about who's the NBA guy there. They said scrimmaged with him, and you never heard that whole big thing?
Yeah. I can't remember.
The guy from
it's not
UNLV,
Jalen Rose.
The
Greg Anthony.
How Greg Anthony schooled him in a pickup game or something.
Yeah, Gottlieb bothers Gottlieb. It really
Yeah,
does. He
big time.
honestly bothers him.
Big
Good.
time.
Well, we also like to touch a little bit on the national scene. So real quickly here, we got two more things to accomplish. We want to give our power rankings, Verk and Brad. I'm sure you guys have both prepared them. But early player of the year favorites, Zach, anybody in mind nationally? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Zeller, Indiana.
Yeah, Cody Zeller is probably the best choice. They say he's better than Tyler or Luke, who's both in the NBA right now.
Player of the year candidates. One of the Kentucky freshmen.
Noel.
Peyton Siva for Louisville.
Yeah, Davis won it
depending on how
last
that
year.
goes.
I think Doug McDermott on Creighton.
Good
Surprised
call.
me.
You know what was surprising, Brad? Did you look at the preseason All-American team? Because they had the guy from Murray State was on there, Cannon or whatever his name is.
Isaiah Cannon, yeah.
There's 2 or 3 mid-major schools were represented on the first team preseason AP All-American team, which is kind of unusual. Usually it's the Dukes, North Carolinas, and teams like
You're
that.
right. I mean, there's so much depth out there. I mean, you look at a conference like the Atlantic 10. I mean, that conference is going crazy. When they added Butler and they added VCU. I mean, that conference could easily be better than the ACC this year.
Yeah. ACC's, again, ACC is going to be top-heavy with NC State, North Carolina, and Duke. And we didn't really get into
We
all
didn't
that.
even talk about this, but this is Syracuse's last season in the Big East, too, before we go to the ACC, which, we could talk for hours about that, and then we'll probably end up maybe crying on the floor and huddled up in a ball. But, there's also a good freshman for Oklahoma State named Marcus Smart, who's supposed to be, the real deal.
So Brad, is VCU in Richmond's conference now?
Yeah, they are in conference.
Okay.
Yeah,
That should be some rivalry, huh?
Crosstown rivals being in the same league.
Nice. I'm looking for the Tribe to sneak in there this year to the tournament with VCU gone and Old Dominion leaving, or Old Dominion's still in there, but they can't play in the tournament, I don't think. And George Mason will still be there though.
So pave the way for the Tribe to finally get in.
I think it's their year.
There's your Colonial Conference update.
That's right.
Big Ten's going to be ridiculous this year for the first time in a while. I think they've actually been dominant, and the main reason is because Indiana's good again. So
Ohio State, Michigan's
good. Indiana and Michigan.
That could be 3 top 5 teams right there.
Those are two
You
programs
guys,
that have been
you guys know I'm
down.
in the center of the universe again. Right here, we've got 3 of the top 5 within an hour and a half of this place.
Yeah, Brad's in Cincinnati, as you all know. So it is a great
That's Ohio
place.
State up the road, Louisville, Kentucky, Indiana. 4 of the top 6 teams in the country, all within 2-hour driving distance. It's incredible.
And by the way, a good opportunity to mention that Thanksgiving night, we do the show's on Thursday night. Thanksgiving doesn't stop us. But Brad is going to be in studio with us for the first time on Thanksgiving night. So, make your turkey sandwiches early and settle in. Mark that calendar on your date. Brad Conner in studio for it'll be number 3 of season 2 of the Upstate Hoops podcast. I'm really looking forward to that.
I didn't
Brad.
tell my wife about that one, Jim, so I might be in trouble. So.
I did tell my wife I am in trouble, but you know what? Though I'll be sleeping. We start the show late.
Yeah.
And then I'm actually going to go with Brad. I got our tickets, Brad, and his son, taking him to the Dome for the Princeton game on Wednesday night, and then we'll be in studio Thursday night on Thanksgiving night. So should have a lot to talk about there.
Let's hear some power rankings.
Yeah, top 5 power rankings. We do it every year, every week, I should say. And since we're getting ready to start the play with some great games on Friday night, including Maryland, Kentucky, Ohio State, Marquette, Miami of Ohio's at North Carolina, Georgia State's at Duke.
Maryland's supposed to be better this year.
You're right, Verk. It's Florida and Georgetown at 9 o'clock on Friday night. Indiana State, UCLA, Michigan State, Connecticut. That's the one in Germany, I think.
Ohio State Marquette's on a boat Friday night.
Yeah, so this grab. I'm a little upset Syracuse isn't going to be involved in that night, but I'll be glad when Sunday rolls around. I get to watch a Syracuse game at 4 o'clock on Sunday.
You know what a great set of games are this coming week on Tuesday is a doubleheader from Atlanta. It's Duke and Kentucky and Michigan State, Kansas.
That's
Jesus.
Duke, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Nice.
Can't get bigger than that.
Huge
Really.
doubleheader early.
Yeah, it's all about to start. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Don't forget about Syracuse Wagner either, Brad.
Yeah, that would be next
Yeah.
Sunday at 1 o'clock in the Dome. And Wagner is tougher opponent than most people
They're
think.
no
But we'll
good.
preview that. We'll preview that next week. My top 5 power rankings, I'll go first. I had a tough time. I mean, there's a lot of teams in the top 15 that I wanted to put in there, but I'm going to start number 5, NC State. I like NC State this year. They return a lot of guys. Sidney Lowe is not their coach anymore. So I think it's this year for the Wolfpack to maybe win the ACC. Number 4, I got Syracuse. The national polls may have them 8, 9, 10, 11. I got them number 4, baby. Just wait and see. They're underrated. It's because they lost so much, but the talent's there. I'm telling you, Michael Carter-Williams, All-American type season ahead. Number 3, Kentucky. Everybody loves Kentucky because they Calipari finally won a national championship with that system of bringing in all the top recruits. I think that it's difficult to chemistry-wise with totally new group coming in every year. I would be surprised, even with all that talent, if they can mesh like they did last year. So, but they're a top 5 team. I got them number 3. Number 2, Louisville. I struggle with this. I mean, they do return a lot of guys, but one thing they did lose was some three-point shooting. I think their key to their season is Blackshear, who wasn't relied on too much last year, but he will be this year. And Rick Pitino is going to have them ready to play this year with Syracuse last year in the Big East. They've already gone back and forth a little bit. And number 1, I got to go with Indiana, one of my most disliked schools in the country, but on paper, they look good, although they did lose 2 freshmen for 9 games that came out today.
Yeah.
Hanner, I don't even know these guys, but they got suspended over some ridiculous nonsense. An AAU coach, who is their legal guardian, in 1992 donated $150 to Indiana, which technically made him a booster for life.
$150?
Yeah, $150. It was like for bumper stickers campaign or something. It was something really ridiculous.
It was.
Wow.
I was shocked at the 9-game suspension.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be reduced, but
So that's my top 5. Verk, how about you? What you got?
I'm going to go with Kentucky. I'll start backwards. Syracuse number 5.
Nice.
We kind of focus on them, so I got them number 5. Like you said, they got the talent. We'll see where they all shake out. Number 4, I'm going with Kansas. They were there last year. They lost Thomas Robinson, but they got some guys back off that. They played for the national championship last year. Number 3, I got Louisville. They're long. They got a great point guard back. They got some guys back from injuries from last year. They're going to be big. I think the big thing for them is going to be 3-point shooting. And then I got Indiana number 2. They got everybody back. Number 1, I got Kentucky. I just, you bring in the top 5 players in the country every year. They did it last year. The year before, they had all those good players. They made a nice run, had a great team. Until somebody beats them, I'm going with Kentucky number 1.
And Brad, how about you? Your initial preseason top 5 power rankings.
I will tell you, I had a very difficult time with this too. I had 2 or 3 teams that I had on a short list and couldn't even get them in. I really wanted to get Creighton in, but I
Top
I leave
5?
them off.
You literally love Doug McDermott, huh?
I think that's what I see them as sort of like Murray State last year, except even better. And Murray State lost 1 game in the regular season. I could see Creighton doing the exact same thing this year, but I left them off. Number 5, I'm going to go with Kentucky. I'm not as high on them as Verk is. I think what we saw last year, I think was more the exception rather than the rule. To get the chemistry that he had with those 5 guys, I'm not sure you get that every year. But, they're still as talented as anybody out there. So I got them fit. I have Ohio State 4th. They could have the best point guard in the country. So I think that's worth getting them number 4. Number 3, I have Arizona, which, I think Sean Miller is one of the best coaches out there. They've got a lot of talent coming back from a team that kind of underachieved a little bit, but I think they're the classic Pac-10 by every measure, and I don't see too many teams out west that are going to beat them. Number 2, I've got Kansas. Great coach, a lot coming back. Jeff Withey's probably one of the best post players in the country. Great defensive player. And number 1, Indiana. Hard to go against them with everything they've got coming back. One thing about them is they have a freshman point guard. We were trying to diffuse Kentucky all season last year for having a freshman point guard, and didn't really seem to hurt them too much in the end. So it's probably going to do the same for Indiana. So that's my 5.
Well, awesome. So we're all on the books. We'll see how it shakes out in March. We'll be back next Thursday. We got great games Friday. We got great games all next week. It's all about to start. As I mentioned, we're going to try to get coach from the Finger Lakes West and Finger Lakes East either in studio or on the phone to help us preview those leagues. And then by the time the end of the month comes around, we're going to start some Section 5 basketball. So it is the most wonderful time of the year, I think. So,
no doubt about it. Looking forward to this weekend and really tomorrow night.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing tomorrow night.
I'm going to have to quit watching the Homeland on
I'm going to watch one on
demand.
I'm going to watch Walking Dead. I got on tape, and then the rest of college basketball.
There you go.
So, Zach, thank you so much for coming in, and thanks also for all your help. You're kind of our guy on the inside a little bit. We can go
Definitely.
to. I didn't even know about that Newark Lyons game, and so as soon as you told me that, I was like, we got to do that.
No problem. Well, it's awesome. I know the kids really were receptive on both teams because I know a couple parents from Clyde, and it's great. More people watching high school basketball and talking about it is a good thing for all of our local communities. So I hope it is successful again for you.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. We got some great improvements, and I can't wait till we get that first game out to show everybody what we got.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it, and appreciate Zach coming in. And I think we're on the bigger and better things this year after kind of giving it a run last year, and I think we're much more organized this year, and I think it'll be great to get the word out and take it from there.
And great sponsor support. Once again, before we get out of here, I want to thank Midday, Maris, and Ricky, attorneys at law. And I want to thank Generations Bank, formerly Seneca Falls Savings Bank. And they're opening up a branch in Farmington. They have, I should have prepared a little bit better. I promise I will have more information on Generations Bank, but I want to say they have 8, 9, 10, 11 locations right now across the Finger Lakes, from Auburn, Waterloo, now Farmington, and points elsewhere. So, Brad, thank you again for joining us. We did this 25 times last year, I think, and this is number 1 of this season. So you'll be back next Thursday. We'll catch up with Zach down the road. And why don't you play us out, Hunt Dog? Thank you very much.
See you, Brad.
Well, this has been the Upstate Hoops Podcast on FingerLakes1.com, sponsored by Midday, Maris, and Ricky, attorneys at law. And Generations Bank will be back here at this time next Thursday, 9 o'clock. Until then, enjoy the games and have a great week, everybody.
www.fingerlakes1.com